And today we have a recording going, so hopefully it will record. Today is Tuesday, March 29th. Tomorrow's my son's birthday, so I got to be nice to him tomorrow. And today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to talk about the history brush, maybe a little bit on the art history brush, which I don't use very often, and also snapshots, which are kind of a important part of the history brush. So without further ado, let's go ahead and share my screen. And hopefully y'all can see my screen there. And as usual, we're going to talk a little bit about the West Coast School coming up June 5th through the 12th. In fact, I think they're going to shorten it a little bit, because I don't think they're going to do the 3-day weekend program. They're just going to do the week long this year. So Photoshop 0 to 60 in a week. And if you don't want to take my class, there's several others that would be happy to have you in their class as well. So go to westcoastschool.com and you can see all the good stuff. So let's close that puppy out, and we're going to open up a new image. And let's go with this one just for fun. For those that haven't seen this picture, this is a shot of the group that went to Yellowstone in February. Fun couple of days, good bunch of people, but it was kind of chilly out there. I almost had to put a jacket on that day because it was kind of cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a selection and play around a little bit. I hit W for the object selection tool, and I'm letting it do its thing. It's going to pick out all the different people in a selection. So each person gets individually selected. And wait for it. There we go. Everybody is selected. And I'm going to take this guy on the far right and click on him. And you can see it put marching ants around him. And having played with this already once or twice before, what I'm going to do is go to select, modify, and expand 1 pixel. If I don't, it didn't select the whole thing. So I've selected him all by himself. And let's go ahead and right click, go down to ContentAware Fill. You can control click with your mouse or your tablet if you want, or you can go up to Edit, ContentAware Fill, either one. Different ways to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure all these people are taken out. So all I have is snow and trees in the background. And then if you look at the sample on the right, it shows what has been selected, what's been replaced. So ContentAware replaced it for me, and now he is gone. Command or Control D to deselect, and you can see that little bit of leftover there. I should have gone out 2 pixels this time because it only selected so much. So let's go back, Command Z or Control Z. We're going to add select. Let's do modify, expand. We're going to do 1 more pixel, so it's 2 pixels out. And hopefully it works this time. Command 0 for full screen or Control 0. And let's do the right. We're going to go ahead and do right click, ContentAware Fill. And this time it looks like it worked a little bit better, but I'm going to take these people out anyway just to make sure. And the green area is what it's selecting, and the area that's not green, it does not select to use in the ContentAware Fill, which is really cool. You can tell it what you want to do. Here we go. Click on OK. Command D to deselect. And now you can see that that puppy is gone, right? Good to see him gone. So we hit the lasso tool, and let's go ahead and F3 to get rid of it. Do the same thing again, which is the action. If you don't have the F3, if you don't have the F3 action, I will be happy to send it to you. Just put your email in the chat, and I'll send you the action, which basically it's ContentAware Fill. Whoa, that's even worse. Do it without it. Okay. What we do is expand 3 pixels, ContentAware Fill, and deselect. It does all that for you. All you have to do is hit F3 and it does it all for you. So at this point, I'm going to really mess up this picture. I'm going to go to my brush tool, B for brush, and let's make it smaller. And let's make it a very obvious, ugly color. And we're going to go around and around and around. That's at 50%. Well, I don't like, well, that's at 30%. No wonder it's so light. Let's go to 0. That's 100%. And we'll go to here, go to here. And I'm eating up my history panel. If you look at the history panel, I've got it set to, I think, 20 right now. So let's do a couple of more just to fill it up.
Michael, you have what set to 20?
My preferences, let's do this, Command or Control K, or bring it into performance. That brings up my preferences. Go to performance. Right now, history state is set to 20. I don't want to use that much memory, so let's take it back down to 9. 9 is perfect. Yeah. And so every time I use the brush tool, you can see that it used up my history. And so if I hit the stamp tool, we'll go click on that to select it, and then we'll do a stamp up there. And you can see that after you hit your maximum number, it starts taking them away. Well, I decided that I actually want to put me back inside the picture. Oh man, I can't go back in my history. So what I'll do is go to the history brush, which is Y for history brush. Make it a little bit smaller. And I'll just paint them back in.
Why couldn't you go back to your history brush?
The reason I couldn't go back in history is I set it to 9 for the maximum. So once I hit up 10, it starts getting rid of all the history from before.
Okay.
That's as far as I can go back.
Michael, this might be a kind of a dumb question, but you went so back in the history. How did the history brush know that that action is what you wanted to call up and not some of the other actions that were back
You
there?
know, John, I'm glad you asked that question, and no, it's not a stupid question. It's a great question, because here's the magical answer. If you go to up at the top on the right-hand section where it says history, this is where we opened at. That's the opening picture. So right now, if you look, it has a brush right there next to the open. And that is your history state. So if I wanted to say, make this a history state now, I'd take a snapshot, which is the little camera next to the trash can down here on the history panel. Click on that, and it says snapshot 1. Well, let's go ahead and go back to here where I'm not there. We're going to make that snapshot 2, and I'm going to rename it Mikey Gone. So if I decide to put my history brush on snapshot 1, it'll bring back everything like it was. And I can't paint out the paint because that was done before snapshot 1. If I go to Mikey gone and then painted out. Oh, he's gone. So
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
you're welcome. And that comes in very handy after a while. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning again. Let's go to minus. I'm going to go to the crop tool. I'm going to clear my crop tool so there's no crop assigned to it. So up at the top in the toolbar at the top, it says clear. You click on clear. And then I'm just going to make a quick panorama of the group here. Click OK. And then I'm going to paint with my brush. Na 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 na.
Don't give up your day job.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to the history brush, and I want to get rid of those. So we'll go to the very top there, Y for history. And you'll see that I get the circle says, you can't do it. And the reason for that is I changed the size. Once you change the size, you're done. You can't go back into history unless you did a snapshot, which this won't work. Actually, it's working even though, oh, because I went back to before.
You went to the previous snapshot without
Went to the previous snapshot, yeah. So you have to be careful of that. If you decide, okay, let's go ahead and change image mode. Let's go to grayscale. Flatten. Discard color information. Sure, why not? And now I go to my history brush, the same thing. If you change your color mode or your bit depth or your size of the image, your history brush is not going to work. So let's go ahead and close that one out. Don't save.
Mikey,
Yes, sir.
when you open that up, why did it take the people instead of the woods?
Why did the selection take the people?
Yeah, instead of the woods.
Adobe Sensei, the AI artificial intelligence, will pick up people before it does the woods.
Oh, okay, but would it pick out vehicles or other things like that before?
Yes.
Okay,
If you have people and vehicles, it'll probably select both. Right now, I'm using the Sensei right now to see what it does with the motorcycles here, the ski mobiles,
Snowmobiles. Yeah.
them things. Okay, it does a pretty good job of selecting them. It's not perfect. What I could do is do a lasso around all of them. Whoops. See if it picks up the windshield and the fairings on this one. And it just selected all of them. So if I want to do just this front one, let's see if it'll pick it up. It took a couple of them. So let's put them on their own layer. And so now we have that one by itself. Let's do a hue and saturation. And I'm going to attach it to the layer below. So I'm going to do a clipping mask. It doesn't seem to do a whole lot until you really crank the saturation. So let's go ahead and take that down in saturation. So there's no saturation. We'll lighten it a little bit. Click OK. I'm going to flatten the image just to go through all the different steps in my history. So it's getting there where it's past the history. So I'll go to Y, which is the history brush tool, make it a little bit bigger. And now we'll take the history brush and just paint back in what we wanted. So it's no longer desaturated from what we did. The history brush did that for us. So if you screw things up in the later on in the program and decide, oh man, I want to fix that, the history brush is a great way to do that. And then Sherry showed a great way to do history brush last week as well. So let's go ahead and don't save. Okay, again, here's another image. Let's go ahead and go to W for the object selection tool. I'm going to see if it selects the trees by itself. I'm just kind of testing it right now. I haven't played with it yet for this image. See what it does. And you can see the spinning wheel up here in the top left. It's thinking, and now we have a selection. So it does select some of the trees in the background, and it's based on contrast. So if I click on this tree here, and let's go ahead and right click, ContentAware Fill. And we should probably expand our selection by a pixel. So let's go to select, modify, expand. Is 1 pixel enough? Should we do 2 or 3?
Go to.
Go to? Okay. Go to. Go camera 2. I said go camera 2. It helps if you hit 2 instead of F2. Makes a little difference there. So we expanded it. Let's go ahead and right click because it's faster than going up and finding it up in the edit. So right click, ContentAware Fill. And 2 is not, or is it? Get rid of this guy over here so it's not reading that. We'll let it read that. So I hit Option or Alt. It automatically selects to where it takes away. If you hit the Option or Alt key, it will add to it. So it's kind of backwards on that. And you can see it's not quite a perfect selection there, but let's go with it anyway. Deselect, and there's a whole lot left over. Okay. Lasso. And then we'll do ContentAware Fill shortcut. Shortcut. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. And it won't do it because it's on its own layer. I had it selected to add it to a layer, and it screws it up big time. So let's go back. Flatten the image. Command E to flatten. And let's do F3. This time it'll work better because it's my perfect action, so it will work. There it is, perfect. Fine, let's do that. And where am I? Output, we're gonna do a current layer, click OK. Deselect, do the same thing here, right click, ContentAware Fill. I got to move zoom things out of the way all the time, so deselect. Well, one of the judges in print comp said, you know, you should have the top half of that tree sticking out of nowhere. So I'm going to go to the history brush, which is Y for history. And I'm going to paint in the top half of the tree coming out of the clouds. And there you have the perfect example of listening to the judges when they're wrong.
Said no judge ever.
So that is the history brush. If I decide to go into history and well, I didn't do enough changes on here to make it worthwhile, but you can go in and select something. Well, let's do this. We'll click the history brush. We'll take a snapshot of that. And now what I can do is click on the snapshot. click on the original version. So you can show the before and after using snapshots. Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad you all agree with me. Thank you for being so kind. Let's go ahead and we're going to start this one over. So we'll go up to, I'm going to close it and reopen it just to make it easy. The snapshots, even if you save it, the snapshots will go away if once you save it and close it. So I'm not even going to save it, and we'll reopen it again. And another way to reopen it is to go to File, Open Recent, and that's the one we just had. And you can, in your preferences, somewhere in there, you can tell it how many you want to keep in there. I am not sure where it is though. But you can enable so many recent file list contains right here. Right now I can keep up to 20 files, my last 20 that I opened. I don't normally keep that many because it just eats up memory. So, and now we're going to go to the art history brush, which is really weird. It's in the same panel, but I've taken my art history brush out and put it aside. So let's see if we can find it right here. Art history brush, click OK. With the art history brush, you have several settings. You have tight, short, tight, medium, tight, long, loose, medium, loose, long, dab, curls, loose and tight. We're going to start with tight, short, just for fun. And I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger just to make it so it goes really bizarre. And all you do is paint over it and you can see that it does some bizarre stuff to it. So let's go ahead and make it smaller. And you can see it's not quite as prevalent that way, even smaller. And I'm just painting over with my mouse. And let's go with loose long. Oh, loose long. You can see the different things that it does. If we go dab, you just kind of dab on things and it does some bizarre stuff as well. And you can actually paint with this. Julianne Koss does a great video on how to paint with the history brush. And there are several people that are out there doing that. So if I hit Shift Y, will take me to the history brush, or you can click on the history brush in the panel over on the left. And I'm going to do opacity. I'm going to take it down to 30% and just kind of paint back in what I did. So you can use a combination of the art history brush and the history brush to kind of figure out what you want to do and paint with it. You got to play with the art history brush to understand it and appreciate it. I'm not a big art history brush kind of person. I've actually been to Sandra Pierce's class, and the brushes that she uses are the smudge tool and the mixer brush. Those two are like almost my favorite tools now. So you can, right now I just have a soft round brush and I can paint the colors around and mush things like that, but that's not today's thing. Today is the history brush, etc. So does anybody have any questions on the history brush or the art history brush? Hi, Melinda. Good to see you. You're muted.
My
That's
internet
okay.
went out, just got in.
You missed all the good stuff then.
I hope not.
Anybody have any questions on the history brush? When you get that circle that says you can't do it. Normally it's because you change the size. If you change the size, what you can do is make a snapshot before you do. And then if you change your mode, such as your color, RGB color to grayscale or to any other color modes, you're not going to be able to use the history brush there as well, unless you make a snapshot from before.
Michael, what happens if you say did a resize, find that you couldn't do it and haven't done a lot of other things? Can you just do a Control Z and back out to that point?
Yeah, let's open one up real quick. Let's go to these guys real quick. Hang on, I gotta get rid of a cat that's climbing on me. He wants to be the star today. So let's say, we'll just select this guy here again. Better yet,
Share your screen.
let's select the head and we'll do a,
We're not seeing your screen.
well, that's because I'm not sharing.
Well, be that way.
Now you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for telling me that. I'm going to take this head here and I'm going to put it up on its own layer. So Command J, I just selected the head. And then what I'm going to do is hit the move tool, V for move. Command T to transform. Got to make it a little bit bigger head so that I got to cover his head up. So there we go. Perfect.
Screen capture that bad boy.
What was the question again?
If you cut it, and could you then Command
Okay.
Z back?
Yeah, let's go ahead and Command E to merge it down so it's on there permanently. And then I'm going to crop it. So we'll use the crop tool. C for crop. Why is it giving me that? I don't want that. Crop tool. There we go. And so if I go to the history brush, Y for history, I get that nasty little circle. So if I hit either Control Z or Command Z, or if I go back one step and do a snapshot, and then we'll go back to crop again. Let's try Y for history. Still won't do it because there we go. No. Doesn't look like it.
Go hit your snapshot and then go back one layer from your there. Go back to that merge down. Now do it after you hit the snapshot. Go up and hit snapshot one. Hit the snapshot one. Click it. Yeah. Now go up, back up one layer. Back up one. Now try it.
It should do it now.
Nope.
Well, snapshot one has, we took a snapshot of me there. So it would yeah. Yeah, as long as I do it before the crop tool, I'm okay. I don't have the solution to do it after you crop it. There's got to be a way. So for that, I do apologize. However, what we could do is free transform. And I'm going to take in the bottom of the history panel down here, you can see the snapshot, the trash can, and next to it is create a new document from its current state. So now I have that one. And then I have that one. So now I've got both. Both images. But when you make that copy of the image, it takes away your whole history state from the other image. So you can't undo it. If I try to history brush's head back, it won't work.
That head would look good on the top of the tree.
Dennis's head on top of the tree. We can do that.
A head on a pike. So
That's a quick lesson on the history brush. It's a valuable tool if you don't crop and don't change your color modes or any of that. So if you want to go back in time, if you screwed up a long time ago past your history states, you can take your history brush and whatever the snapshot is on, you can brush it back, which is really cool just in case.
It's handy. I forgot all about that tool.
You know, a lot of people don't use it very often, and I haven't used it for quite a while, so I had to play with it and figure out what I'm doing with it again. The art history brush, Julianne Cost has a video on it. Be good to watch, and she talks about some of the different techniques in it as well. So that works really cool. She does some good stuff.
I heard videos on YouTube.
Hers are on YouTube. Yeah. You can just type in Julianne Cost, and if you want history brush, Julianne Cost history brush, and she's got a bunch of videos out there for you.
Oh, great.
And she is a very human teacher. She makes mistakes more than me, but hers are on purpose. Mine are not. I just make mistakes. Any other questions, comments?
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to hit the
Thank you, Michael.
stop record.